mass isolation, person that committed suicide because the AI told it to. Paradox-free time travel.
You go in a box and you come out and there are dinosaurs walking around, right?
Directed energy weapon, but it kind of heats up the top layer of your skin.
Tyson was pulling punches, by the way. What's the deal? Brought to you by Deal.ai, and we got some fun stuff to get into today. What's it going to be? Technology, conspiracy, or conspiracy theories, aliens and quantum computing. Oh, bird flu, and to round it all off, a bit of time travel as well. Why not? So, how are we doing today? How are we doing today, guys?
Yeah,
Great.
good. Things are good. How are you, Terry?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. I'm excited about the first topic because a lot of people talking about this one, and that is good old Mark Zuckerberg, and now introducing or unleashing, let's say, the AI users on Meta, Facebook, Instagram, the AI users that nobody asked for, right? So raises a lot of questions. Is it just a bit of a PR stunt? Is it the wave of the future? Are we going to start getting in some interesting territories where, our kids are going to start making better friends with their AI counterparts on Facebook than actual real friends? Is it going to exacerbate, mass isolation? Definitely got a few theories on it, but what do you guys think? This new theory or not new movement, let's say, of AI users on social.
Just when Zuckerberg had gone through his image rehabilitation phase,
Yeah.
you see this thing of him where he's surfing and he's got the beer and he's got the chain, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's not as creepy as I thought he was. He's not the lizard man that he used to be." And then he goes and does this. It's like he
Yeah.
just completely reversed all of this goodwill he'd built up over the last few months. It's like, what is he thinking? I don't get it.
Right. There's that
So,
there's that meme where it's like Mr. Take Your Data is now turned into Mr. Take Your Girl. Like
so that brings up a few questions. First of all, what's the exact story? I saw the headline. Is he actually gonna have users who are AI personalities mixed in with humans? Is that the idea?
Apparently
yeah.
so.
Yeah, Matt, if you want to talk on it.
Yeah, so this is meant to be platform sanctioned. So this isn't external users doing this. We've seen a few AI influencers who have been created by external parties. You've had ad agencies who created these profiles. This is supposedly the platform, Facebook and Instagram itself, generating these hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of AI users with their distinct personalities and their different interests interacting with real users on the platform. I don't know whether or not it's going to go ahead or whether it was just floated as a let's see what people's reaction is, but it's already bad enough. You're already getting the sort of the boomer generation who have no ability to kind of discern AI generated content interacting with these crazy things that kind of anyone can see as AI, but apparently they can't. So what's it going to be like when these things are indistinguishable from real people and they're having adventures all around the world? It seems a little bit too pushing it a little bit too far, perhaps.
So I heard a different theory. Well, not a different theory, but to add to that is they they feel that the new users, whatever the hell the new generations before, there's Gen Z and then the new one coming up. Anyone knows what that
Alpha.
one?
I think we've
Alpha,
circled all
whatever
the
it's
way
called. Yeah.
around the back of the alphabet back to the beginning again.
Yeah, so I read a little bit into it, and it's like the theory is like Zuckerberg is now um guessing or predicting that based on trends he's seeing that some of these younger users are just they're kind of bored with the old like human interaction, and humans aren't that interesting generally. So he's going to make these AI things like super, controversial and edgy and bold and like super engaging, way more than humans are. So that's like the evolution of meta and where that's going. So I think it's real. I think it's going to happen for sure.
They probably saw character AI and they were like, "Oh, we can do that."
Yeah. I mean,
I,
it
Well,
seems like the logical evolution, right? The way everything's speeding up and going.
I think they were
Alex
also
looks a
talking
little
about
bit. Yeah, I
celebrities.
don't think he's on
It's
board.
interesting I can think about it in different ways, but that brings up the question: why is Mark into it? Does he have like an AI side chick or something? that that he likes, and it's like, you know what, everybody should have some sort of AI girlfriend boyfriend type thing going on. I don't quite get why his brain is going there. I mean, I see like a virtual girlfriend boyfriend maybe, but it's just a bunch of characters, AI characters liking and commenting on your post. It's kind of weird.
But
It's
also,
it's
if you're an advertiser as well, I mean, how annoyed are you going to be if most of your content's getting shown to these characters, or it's these characters that are commenting and liking on your ads? It's like, is there actually going to be any real users left? I mean, their users are already declining, right? Especially on Facebook. So are they kind of doing this because they know that without these bots, there's not going to be any users left?
Isn't there
I
that
mean,
death of the
potentially,
internet?
yeah. And that's the whole point, right? To make them just so engaging, and it's just the natural order of these things usually is these social platforms eventually just dissipate and die, and you know Mark's trying to do everything he can to not let that happen, and especially if you know Instagram and Facebook, the younger guys are flocking to like TikTok over these platforms. So is it? I don't think it's a last ditch, you know, attempt to keep users on the platform. I think it is like a natural evolution of it, but it's scary because then it brings up those whole questions of you know, I think we even mentioned the story of the person that committed suicide because the you know the AI told it to. So it's just it's
Well,
scary.
that happens with humans too. I mean, a lot of humans commit suicide, teenagers, because of other humans. So I don't think it's scary in that sense. The most important question is, and this is the first time I'm trying to wrap my head around this news, is it interesting? So obviously advertisers wouldn't be interested because these AI agents are never going to buy anything.
Mhm.
So
But it keeps more people on the platform
yeah, well,
that
that's the
could buy.
idea. Does it though? So I mean, would people, there might be something there. Like a lot of people don't get a lot of engagement on their posts, and maybe AI agents, if they have personality engaging on it. But I mean, then the question becomes, are you going to have, like, humans can shit talk? Are you going to train these AI agents to also shit talk on, shit post and talk, make it interesting? Or it's going to be like, oh, amazing dress, like
That
chat GPT talking back to you, giving you positive feedback at all times. So I don't know.
That's interesting. So what you're saying is it could relatively lower the amount of trolls. Like the amount of trolls will still be there, but it'll be diluted, right? And if you, so I'm thinking about this now. Like if you're a person that only has 500 followers, but you're really trying to like get some traction, and you start getting more engagement and more likes and more comments, and which probably kicks into the algorithm, and your profile starts growing even if it is like bots, do you really care? So it could potentially elevate the entire platform's like user engagement and dilute the trolls a little bit. So
But
Just
does a view and a like from a bot count? I mean, do you
and
get
does it, the most important thing is,
psychologically, if other people are looking at your account and they see more engagement, I would say yes.
but over time that becomes like normalized and people are like, oh, it's all AI, look at this guy. Only
Mhm.
AI comment. I mean, I'm sure they're gonna indicate what is AI and what's human, otherwise it would be super weird. um
Well,
what
that's a question. Are they? Are they going
I
to do
mean,
that?
I think they have to. So otherwise it's deceptive. So if they are doing that, then imagine yourself posting like a photo of yourself, having fun, and you get, normal person gets like 10 likes, 20 likes or something. 15 of them are bots. I mean, is that the question is, would the user, like, would you personally right now, if you post on social, if you got more likes, but all the incremental likes and comments were AI, would you feel better? I'm not sure.
So look at here's an interesting one. So if you actually look at user profiles and people trying to be influencers, you actually already can see like, oh, well, that's clearly bots because they've got 1,000 or 100,000 followers and 2 likes, and you're like, okay,
Mhm.
so if you could actually mitigate that by having 100,000 followers and actually having a shitload of comments, maybe it actually becomes harder to be like, all right, well, is this AI or is it just bots? Are you following me there? Like,
Yeah,
what?
so they were trying to mitigate that initially by removing, at some point they de-emphasized the number of likes, if you guys remember. Even right now, sometimes I don't know exactly under what scenarios, it doesn't say how many likes you get. It says blah 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 and blah 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 and others liked this
You can
post.
opt in to either show it or
Yeah,
not. Yeah.
yeah. So they were already, so I think what's the reason for that? So they were trying to get users to engage and not be solely driven by feedback from the system. So apparently that's not working, obviously, because you see most people, I mean, that's not most of the posts, and I think it's not a good setup in general. Like, you want to see how many people posted and commented. Now the question is, the next seems like plan B is like, okay, what do we do with people who post and get no likes or very few likes? Let's have bots like and comment. And the question is that even better? I don't know. It's a I don't, like, right off the bat, I don't dismiss the idea. Intuitively, I think it doesn't really solve that problem. Um, but I could be wrong. I can see a world where people start treating these AI agents, especially if they have really distinct personalities. I don't know. He's trying. It to me sounds like trickery. So it's like, oh, how can I trick humans' brains to feel more included or liked or engaged? Like, does that make sense? And
Yeah.
and and approach number one, have algo show it to the right people who are more likely to engage. That didn't work. Approach number two, how about I don't tell them how many people like and comment, like remove the number of likes. Approach number two. Number three is, let me get some fake AI agents to engage. Now the question is that a good idea? I don't know. Actually, it feels, I'm 50-50 on it. It might be an okay approach. It
I
might
think
be
a
an
lot of
okay
it depends
approach.
on how they handle it, right? So, I mean, with influencers and everybody presenting the best side of themselves, you've already got people with developing things like body dysmorphia and thinking, oh, what, I constantly need to go abroad, I constantly need to travel, I need to take these amazing pictures. So if all of these characters, all of these bots that he's going to create are perfect humans, or humans in quotes, with flawless skin and amazing bodies, and they're constantly going on vacation and they're in these amazing spots, that's just going to worsen that. Whereas if they can create a blend of perfect plus normal people, I think that's more of a realistic solution, right? If you just flood the platform with these flawless beings, that's just going to worsen the kind of social ills that have kind of developed over the last 10, 15 years on social media platforms.
Yeah, it's interesting because we're kind of hovering over one thing and not directly talking about that, which is it's not just about the likes and comments. I think what I also read is Mark really wants it to replace human interaction. So they're not necessarily just going on there for the comments and likes. They're going on there for the conversation of it. And
Mhm.
actually, like, it's their friends. So they're building their social network, but it's a mixture of actual human beings and actual like emotional connections with AI avatars, right? So that
Does
kind of
do these avatars like post photos of themselves traveling the world and having fun on the beach and having amazing bodies and stuff like that, you know?
I
yeah,
think
yeah,
it's
I'm not
it's
sure.
not I don't think it was actually specified, but if you're going to have a profile on Instagram, it'll look a little bit weird if you're getting likes and comments from an empty profile, right?
Right.
So my guess is that they would at least have a few photos on there. Yeah.
Well, if it is on thread, then it might be just text and then
Mhm.
expressing his opinion. I mean, but imagine like the AI agent like saying things, oh, this happened today, horrible or great. I mean, Happy New Year. It's just, it's weird. It's weird. At the same time, Zuck is a smart dude. He understands like a lot of the nuances of how people get hooked. I like to see this in action, see
Yeah.
if it is interesting. And maybe people definitely should have the option of opting out. Um, yeah, I mean, it's a social experiment.
Yeah. If you've ever heard that saying, anyone will listen to you as long as it's a compliment. So if these AI avatars are just out there and they assess your profile and see your comments and then give you like personalized like motivation feedback, you're like, oh, I love this AI avatar. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, social experiment. Let's see where it goes.
So if it's only positive, then it's like weird, you know?
Hmm.
If it's like only saying, "Oh, great dress" or something.
Oh, I love
Eh,
your hair.
yeah,
Yeah.
I love your hair. Have you been
But
working out?
people, but listen, like again, like people will listen as long as it's a compliment. Like people love that. They will listen to it. Some people would be like, I can't deal with this. But unfortunately, I think the majority would be like, oh, this is fantastic.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, it doesn't matter to him. To him, what matters is that is this going to increase the engagement of humans because ultimately humans are the ones who can buy stuff from advertisers. Does it increase it? I don't. It's interesting. Maybe we should try that. Maybe we should launch a social network where, I mean, the other piece of it is, can humans create an AI avatar on their behalf and launch it and have the AI avatar like travel the world and say nice things all the time? Is that possible? I mean, it's possible, but is that a good idea? I mean, there's a lot here to digest.
Yeah, yeah, interesting. We can revisit next week and see where we're at with it. Oh, I was gonna.
Oh, is it launching? Is it launching that quickly? Is it going to be launched within the next week? Is that what the timescales
I
are?
just kind of made that up, but it might
Oh,
be a little longer than that.
I'm
Maybe a
going to
little
say
longer
that's
than a week.
quick. That's quick.
We
Millions
can
of
at
AI
least
agents being born in the
discuss
next
our
week.
evolved thoughts on it. Yeah, come on, Mark, hurry up. Cool. So going from Facebook AI avatars and the things that no one's actually asked for. I thought I'd throw a bit of a spanner in the works in terms of I was going to save this for the end, but I was like, no, let's throw it in. Has anyone heard about the paradox-free time travel? Then now a scientist or group of scientists have apparently mathematically proven that you are in fact able to time travel, right? But it's the paradox free time travel. So, not typically when you think of like time travel movies, right? And it's like, okay, well, I'm going to go back and kill baby Hitler or something like that. Because the whole paradox is if you go back in time and change a significant historical event, then there was no need for you to go back in time in the first place. So it kind of creates a paradox. And then you can argue it gets into like, Infinity War, Avengers, split timelines, and all that kind of stuff. But now it's like, well, theoretically or mathematically, you can do it. Don't ask me to explain the math, but you can go it as long as you're not changing anything of significance, or it's if you were to change a specific a factor or occurrence in that time, it would just move on to something else. Being like they use the example of if you were to go back and stop patient zero of COVID getting COVID, then either you would get it or someone else. So like the timeline continues, that significant event is always going to happen. So I'll pose it to the group. I don't know who wants to jump into that one first. Do we think that that's on the cards? I don't think they can literally jump in a time machine right now. But do you guys think that's possible in some shape or form? Do you think time travel will ever be possible? That's an interesting question.
Well, well, I saw, well, time travel. it depends on what you define as time travel. So you can go into the future. That's technically feasible. You can't go into the past. That's at least the last I remember. The theory was going in the future. Essentially, you get in a spaceship, you travel at a very high speed, close to speed of light. Time slows down for you. You come back to Earth. You have traveled forward in time. Does that make sense?
I
Time
mean,
slowed down.
Interstellar kind of tackles that, right? If you've
Yeah,
seen it, yeah.
exactly. I mean, you can actually. I mean, it's an engineering problem. It's not a, you know, physics paradigm problem. You can actually accomplish that. Slow time down for yourself, then come back, and the world has progressed, and you essentially time travel. Now it's not reversible, but yeah, going back always like you can't, at least to the best of my knowledge, using current physics, it's not feasible. And yes, it creates that paradox. I don't know how you would go about that. So if you go back in time, all the random events, will they happen in the same order? So maybe you can go back in time and observe. Well, you can also observe the past already. So you can observe the past by looking at the echo of what has happened in the past, the same way we um, can hear the echo of Big Bang and just reconstruct it by looking at photons that got emitted and then they get echoed back to Earth. So you can essentially observe and see the past, but going and interacting with it, that at least I didn't know it was. I mean, also it creates that paradox. I don't know how they would go around that. So yeah.
Interesting. Matt, it seems like you got something you want to add to
Well,
that.
no, this just kind of seems like the don't kill your grandmother kind of argument, right? So
Yes.
what I don't understand, right? If this is paradox-free time travel, if I went back and I mean, I'm not actually going to do this. I love my grandmother, but let's just say I did go back and kill her. So, my mum isn't born, I'm not born. You're saying that they've proven that there's paradox-free time travel. It's like, how is the universe going to ensure that I don't kill my grandmother? Like, I don't get how. What is the mechanism that ensures that this is paradox-free?
That's a good question. I don't
Well, I mean,
know.
if you can go back in time but not have the ability to interact with it, and what does go back in time mean? It means you're seeing, right, the past. So like in the movies, when you go in a box and you come out and there are dinosaurs walking around, right? So the part of it where you can see the dinosaurs walking around, that is not infeasible, because you can observe it. Like we can, like I said, we can see the Big Bang essentially by observing the echoes of the photons. Like one way to think about it is like you go in a room and you clap your hand, and then the sound just echoes off the walls. And if a new person comes in and the sound is still echoing off the wall, they are hearing the person that clapped their hands in the past. So you can observe it. Okay.
Mhm.
You can hear it. You can come out of the box. I mean, obviously, that would be super complex, and I don't know how to do it. Nobody knows. But you can see the past and you can go into the future, but you cannot go to the past and interact with it. Does that make sense? So I don't know how they would solve the paradox there. I need to learn more. How does that even make sense?
You know what? Let me. I've actually got the article in front of me. I'm going to quickly read a couple of paragraphs just so we get a bit of context here. For what they're actually saying. So he says, in a peer-reviewed paper, a scientist says he has mathematically proven the physical feasibility of a specific kind of time travel. The paper appears in Classical and Quantum Gravity. Jermaine Tobar and Fabio Costa, both of the University of Queensland at the time of the paper's publication, worked together on the study in reversible dynamics with closed time-like curves and freedom of choice. They say they found a middle ground in mathematics that solves a major logical paradox in one model of time travel. The math itself is complex, but it boils down to something fairly simple. Time travel discussion focuses on closed time-like curves, CTCs, something Albert Einstein first posited. And Tobar and Costa say that as long as just two pieces of an entire scenario within the CTC are still in casual order, when you leave, the rest is subject to local free will. Our results show that CTCs are not only compatible with determinism and with local free choice of operations, but also with a rich, diverse range of scenarios and dynamical processes. Their paper concludes. I don't know if that actually concludes anything. Did either of you take
Okay.
anything from that?
So this isn't right. Okay. So this isn't saying that time travel is possible. This is saying that if time travel were possible, then we could resolve it in the following ways. So I think like the pop sci article is as always overblowing it. So
Yeah.
they're saying, yeah, if time travel were to be possible, we could do the following things. Not saying it is possible. I think that's the difference.
Right. So
That's
they
what it sounds like
completely,
from.
a scientist proved paradox-free time travel is possible. So he hasn't proved anything, right?
I don't think yeah. I think if you actually read the paper, that wouldn't. But they need to get clicks. They need to get clicks for people to read the article, don't
Yeah,
they?
fair enough. All right, no time travel then. All right, time travel
not, not
to
not today, anyway.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right, back to one of our favorite Chinese hackers. Okay, so has anyone heard about this one? The breach of the US Treasury. Have you guys been reading about this? Someone apparently stole with a stolen key card, breached the US Treasury, took a load of stuff, and now people are all conspiracy theorists and like proving that it's Chinese spies and trying to get into all of the US security. Now, do we think this is it? Like I've read this entire article and it seems like a little like everything comes back to Chinese conspiracy theory and there's not actually a lot of validity to it. But I don't know if you guys have read that story or have any views on it.
Well,
I
I
mean,
mean,
oh, sorry, go on, Alex.
go ahead, go ahead.
Well, yeah, I mean, this stuff happens all day, every day, right? And it's very very rare that a threat group or an attack group is actually going to admit, especially if they're state sponsored. I mean, I've always thought this. It's like if Chinese nationals were to step foot in an act of war on US soil, that would be an act of war. Whereas if it happens in cyberspace, it's like it's fine. It's just difficult to actually attribute it to certain groups.
Yeah.
And then also the US also loves doing this to its adversaries as well. So the more you kind of ignore it and don't make anything about it, then the more excuse you've then got to do it to other countries. So it wouldn't surprise me. You do get sort of nation state backed what they call APTs,
Yeah.
Advanced Persistent Threat, I think is what it stands for. So you get these kind of groups that are funded by states. There's a few of them in Russia with fun names like Cozy Bear, which are constantly doing attacks like this. So it really wouldn't surprise me. And you often get things that get blamed as, oh, it's an infrastructure problem when the trains stop running. It's like, well, was it actually a cyber attack that you're trying to downplay so that people don't panic? So yeah, I wouldn't put it past it.
Yeah, because it's like are countries trying to hack each other all the time? Like, of course we are, and we're trying to
Constantly.
hack other countries, and it's just that it's a mixture of like, well, yeah, there's fact within there, there's truth of it happening, of course, all the time. It's just are we constantly blowing it out of proportion? And you, as being within that space, I guess, what's your kind of general sweep of it all? Is it yeah, it's happening, but it's nothing to be too concerned about, or what would you say is like your stamp on it?
It's all about boundary setting and kind of sending sort of messages as well. So you have like these kind of, it's almost like a back channel to say, hang on, back off. If your political policy isn't quite what we're aligned with, we'll cyber attack you, and then that will be our message to you to say you need to back off with your political policies. You get all these kind of like secret coded messages that people are now sending via cyber attacks. Yeah.
Nice. Alex, anything on that?
I
Or
mean,
you
it
just
is part of warfare for sure.
yeah.
So, um, we do the same.
We
And
do the same.
yeah.
But there's also a bit of population control and, a bit of fear mongering and, it's just that it's a constant narrative to keep people reading, right? I think a lot of it does come down to, well, I don't know, personal opinion. I think a lot of it is clickbait and just getting people to read, and, they exacerbate the actual threat level a little bit. Personal
And
opinion, but yeah.
yeah, and also cybersecurity firms like really thrive on these things by blowing up these things out of proportion. Some of them are actually serious, but I mean, the example, if I remember, I read somewhere that Russia, when invaded Ukraine, it unleashed a huge cyber attack on Ukrainian companies and government, and the result was not that impressive. So it
Mm.
wasn't actually able to do actual damage, and ultimately it came down to foots on the ground and air power and soldiers and artillery. so so at least right now I feel like, yeah, maybe there's something to it. But if you want to attack, let's say, US Navy, can you actually do it with can you do any sort of credible cyber attack to create military objective at all? I don't know. I don't think so. But
I mean,
I can be wrong.
there was Stuxnet, right, which was the attack on the nuclear centrifuges. It
Mhm.
was like super
Oh yeah,
sophisticated. It was
Israel,
like, yeah,
Israel did it.
yeah,
Yeah, you're right. Actually, that's a good
actually
example.
shut down
Shut
the
down.
well, it overloaded it. It attacked the industrial control systems at the plants that were refining nuclear fuel, spun them out of control so that they kind of broke apart and almost kind of exploded. So
Right.
that was a cyber attack that caused physical damage and set back the kind of nuclear program by 5 years, 10 years, or however long it was. But yeah, I mean, they blew so many cyber attacks in that. I mean, 0 days are really hard to come by. A 0 day, for anyone who doesn't know, is an unreleased kind of hack or attack that are generally sold on the black market for millions, if not tens of millions each. So they blew like 4 or 5 Windows 0 days on this single attack. But obviously, it accomplished, like you said, that was real military objectives that were accomplished by doing that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. I'm realizing as we're going through this, a lot of my stance is, oh, it's just overblown, it's media hype, and which brings me to bird flu. So have you guys been seeing this? Like
Oh
now,
God.
now it's another one, bird flu,
Yay.
COVID, got all these wonderful things just happening all the time, and everyone needs to be super scared. Now, I've got to like give myself a disclaimer. I'm not saying it's not real, but I'm like, all right, well, what's the next thing? Swine flu, pig flu,
Pick
lizard
an
flu.
animal. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Pick an animal, flu. And then next time you go to Walgreens, like you go to Walgreens, they're like, take your COVID shot. And now
yeah.
they're going to say COVID shot and whatever,
Put a
swine
bag over
flu.
your
And
head.
yeah,
Yeah.
and monkeypox and whatever. It's like, I'm like, okay, so if you're supposed to take a shot for every animal out there, so
Right.
that would be a lot of shots and a lot of money for these guys. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I also see the other side of it. Like if there is concern, then you got to make people aware of it, sure. But again, it's just it's so extreme. And I mean, I guess that is the media, right? But
I think at this point nobody believes anything anymore. So even if
Mm.
there is a deadly virus going around, or like,
eh,
yeah, it's like people are gonna be like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, I think that's the problem. It's like the boy who cried wolf too many
yeah.
times. It's like that's literally what the government did.
That
So
yeah. So it's so true because you literally read, bird flu, and your first reaction is like, there we go again. It's
yeah,
not like, oh
Yeah.
exactly.
shit, batten the hatches. It's like, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's so
I,
funny.
I think there's two parts to this, right? So I mean, the worrying part is that I think the fatality rate is something crazy like 30%, which is huge. But the second
Wait,
part
what?
is there hasn't
30%
yeah,
of
yeah,
people that
yeah.
get it?
About
That's what they
Okay.
said.
30%,
Yeah.
that's the mortality rate, yeah. But the second part, which is the slightly better news, is that there hasn't been a single confirmed case of human to human transmission yet. It's just been from birds to humans.
So how do you
So I
get it
think
from the bird? Do you need to kiss the bird? Like what exactly? What's the
I don't know
exact
the
scenario?
details. I don't know the specifics. I think just prolonged exposure, right? People working on farms or around wildlife, etc. I think that's the deal. But
When
I
the
think the
chickens
worry
sneeze.
is like, yeah, I think the worry is like, so this is like H5N1. Like, there's two different parts of it. So like, there's the five is like relates to some part of the virus, and then the one relates to another part. And then the human things are like H7N4. I'm making that up, but they have like different designations. So I think the concern is if someone is kind of co-infected with a human variation of the virus and also the H5N1, the bird flu, at the same time, then these things can kind of swap genes in that person. And I think that's the worry, that they might mutate to be very lethal and also be able to be transmissible between people. But as yet, that hasn't happened. It's only been from birds to people. So
I
that's
think
that's,
we,
that's
and
the
we
good
know,
news anyway.
ultimately the takeaway is don't have sex with animals. So
Yeah, I think that's generally
Okay.
good
We
advice to
just
live by.
dived. We went straight there.
I mean, that's how I think HIV happened, right? That's the theory, right?
I think that is the
Oh,
theory. Yeah,
really? Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't know
yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Damn.
From
somebody
from
had
from
sex
monkeys. Yeah,
for somebody
simian.
has sex with
Yeah.
a monkey, which is really, I would say, general health advice is don't
Don't have sex
have
with a
sex with
monkey.
animals. Just don't.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right.
it's like,
Guys, we got AI robots coming. You'll be fine. Just, move off animals.
yeah, exactly. There's like
Just wait
AI
for the AI.
robots.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, wait for that. Just spare the animals.
Yeah, yeah. If you just hold off for like a few more years, maybe a few more months. Anyway, all right. Moving swiftly on. So CIA whistleblower. So another one. I'm gonna try and stop saying the same thing with everything, but this what's it called? The Havana syndrome, and the CIA whistleblower saying that they have this virus called the Havana syndrome, and you read the things that actually the what's it called, the effects that it has. So it seemed again like a big story. I don't know if anyone saw this, but it's for foreign diplomats, I believe, in different countries from the US that are collectively over the last few years, I think since 2016, been getting something that is called the Havana syndrome or Havana virus syndrome, Havana syndrome. So I don't know if you guys have heard or read anything about this, but what do we think this is? I'll hold off my conspiracy theorist again, but do you think there's any legitimacy? I think people have been saying that it could even be like sonic warfare or different
I
methods
thought
of.
it's radiation, wasn't it? I heard like somebody was directed radiation was a
Oh,
theory. Yeah. Um, ultras. I don't think it was ultrasonic. It was direct. Matt, do you remember? I even saw a documentary on it, and it was suitcase-sized
Yeah.
directed radiation.
Directed energy weapon, I think they
Yeah,
call it,
direct.
because
Yeah.
I know that the US has got a directed energy weapon which works in the microwave range. So like in some countries they use water cannon to disperse crowds, massive jets of really forceful water. This is kind of like something that's like quite passive, so it has like two kind of reflectors or like this. So you just drive them up on a Humvee or whatever else. You point them at the crowd. It sends out microwave radiation, which isn't harmful, but it kind of heats up the top layer of your skin to the point where it's just impossibly painful to kind of stay in a riot or in a crowd, and you just kind of disperse because it's just incredibly painful. It's not supposed to cause any long-term damage, but I mean, you are technically microwaving yourself, so
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah,
but
just
it could be
tiny
something similar
issue.
to that. Yeah.
It's yeah, it's like being inside a microwave, you know.
Yeah, what harm can it do, right?
I think the idea is
Nice.
that you run away before it causes you any damage. But yeah, it could be something similar to that could operate on a different range or whatever else. And this would need to be able to, because apparently these people got it while they were inside the embassies. So this would need to penetrate like thick structures like concrete or brick or whatever else, which that can't do. I mean that the brick would stop it. So I don't know what kind of part of the electromagnetic spectrum it's supposed to operate in. But yeah, that's supposed to be the idea. Either a sonic kind of really infrasound, really low frequency kind of sound wave, or some kind of radiation is supposed to be the
Why
cause of
not
it.
gamma ray? Like if you want to actually cause actual damage, you can use gamma
Yeah.
ray or something like that. And you can, I mean, I don't put it past like, nation states to come up with weapons like that. And, It's not invisible in my brain. I didn't think it was a virus. That's the first time I'm hearing.
Mm.
So
But
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
it's hyper targeted, right? Because obviously, if this is international focusing on American diplomats, it's got to be hyper targeted because otherwise you'll be, infecting or whatever it is, affecting.
yeah, targeted, but it bounces off of objects. So people around it are obviously to some extent are also
Susceptible.
impacted. So, you know, I mean, the question is like, I mean, it depends on what they're using. So if it is, I mean, if you want to go inside the building, it needs to be gamma ray or something like that.
Mm.
Microwave doesn't get past that. So exactly what you're doing. Yeah, but I mean, it's
But
all a theory, and it's not provable. That's the thing. It's like, how do you prove that?
yeah, unless
All
you've
right.
got radiation counters or Geiger counters inside
Yeah,
the building,
Geiger
you're
count.
not going to
Yeah,
know, right? So
yeah,
what are embassies going to have to do? Line everything with lead to
yeah. It's like
to stop
lead
this?
Tinfoil
covered
helmets, tinfoil hats.
that protects just your brain. And
Oh,
also
fair enough.
tinfoil
Suits.
doesn't protect it. You need like a lead
All right.
layer essentially.
Okay,
So
bit heavier.
and you need it in the walls or something because it's going to be heavy. You can't wear like a lead suit walking around the embassy. So I
Fair
don't
enough.
know. It's like also like, okay, so you protect the embassy, but these people leave the embassy, so you can
Yeah,
just target the entrance or something. So
Mm.
it's
Okay,
yeah.
so so
That would be
my
a lot more.
question was like you guys, so it's like a legitimate thing because again, my brain was like, oh, is this something that one person heard? Because you kind of read the effects that it has, and it's like dizziness and brain fog, and you get like hot sweats and stuff. I'm like, I mean, it sounds like a bit like a cold. Are people just getting colds and saying, oh yeah, I've got Havana syndrome,
or
but
radiation poisoning. Radiation
oh
poisoning
Mm.
has similar stuff. So
yeah,
yeah, I mean,
oh, that's fair enough.
it could be all of those. Virus could be virus, could be also like, you can not to give people ideas, but you can also pollute the water supply, you know. You can add some mercury or some heavy metal uh, in the water supply, and they're taking shower inside the embassy, and they're being, you know, doused with heavy
Yeah.
metals. So it's like a ton of things. I mean, if you want to do damage, you can do damage.
Yeah, send them a lot of free sushi.
Yeah, that's right. You can contaminate the food supply. I mean, Israel did the walkie-talkie. So, it's like, I
Mm.
mean, just think about the walkie-talkie explosions. There are so many attack vectors, like especially if you're in a foreign country. You can just attack many different things. We are so exposed. Like if you think about all the products you consume all day, they can put in
Yeah.
your toothpaste, what was that? Who was that Russian guy? Alex Navalny. They put
Oh,
it
well, they
in.
got him with the umbrella. Is that guy?
No,
Yeah.
no. I think they put it in his underwear. So is
Oh
that?
wow.
Yeah. So they put it in his underwear, and with umbrella you can do that. Or the guy that
Yeah.
the North Korea assassinated someone in the airport with a kind of like a spray or something like
Mm.
that. So so it's
That was like a nerve agent or something like that, right?
something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah. I mean, there are so many weird ways
So many ways to die.
to die.
Yeah.
So many ways to die. It's just
But
We're spoiled for
but
choice. Yeah.
but speaking about the pagers and the walkie-talkies, I saw a documentary where they kind of interviewed some Mossad members, and they were saying it was a 10-year operation. Like everyone saw the aftermath of it, and they were like, "How is this possible?" Because there was speculation that they were just causing the batteries to overheat and explode, and I was like,
Nah.
"No, that's not possible." But it was
Yeah.
literally like a 10-year operation. They had to buy up all of these shell companies and get in with the suppliers, and they poached like a business relationship manager from the Taiwanese company that made these pages because they already had the existing relationship. Like the complexity of that operation was over 10 years, and the explosives were still good 10 years later. It was a lot of work went into that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it kind of reminds me a little bit. I don't know if anyone ever heard the kind of Russian, whatever it was called, what the version of the CIA,
KGB.
GRU?
The KGB, yeah, which isn't a direct correlation.
No, the new one has a different name. KGB was Soviet Union.
Yeah.
FSB,
But
FSB,
this was
Yeah,
like
FSB.
60s and 70s, and they're always
Okay.
talking about like,
Yeah.
well, you know how to take down a nation from the inside. You just start with the youth and da, 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 and then plant stories, and then you kind of look at America today to see all this craziness. Not to get into the whole pronouns and all that stuff, and it's like, have people just been feeding us disinformation for a long time and making everyone weak? Anyway, let's move on. So from that, from
Before we die
whistleblowers.
from brushing our teeth.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought end with a couple of fun ones here because I used to think one way and now I think another way. So has everyone heard Conor McGregor and Logan Paul or Paul Logan or whatever the hell he calls, I forget. But
Logan Paul.
now Logan Paul, now they are going to apparently they're the next big celebrity fight. Conor McGregor is apparently being paid 250 million to step in the ring
What?
with Logan Paul or Paul.
Is it confirmed? Are they going to fight?
I'm not sure if it's confirmed, but it's looking good. Like I don't see why it wouldn't happen, right? I think it's more on. I think Logan is definitely down to do it. It's just whether or not Conor wants to step back in the ring. But if he's getting paid 250 million, because I used to have this inner feeling of I didn't like it because it wasn't a competitive sport really. It wasn't mixed martial arts, it wasn't boxing, and it was kind of making a joke of the whole thing. But now that's just the way of the world, right? And you kind of reframe it, and it is an incredible spectacle to observe if it's good. I mean, most of us on this call watched the friggin' Tyson fight, which was just awful.
Awful. Yeah.
Yeah, so bad. I think Tyson was pulling punches, by the way. I think he was pulling punches because if you've seen that one move and it's like relayed against what he used to do, and there was a right open shot and he should have taken it, but he just didn't. I'm suspicious.
That's
But
probably
something
why
like Logan Paul and Tyson, Logan Paul and McGregor, that seems like I would absolutely watch that.
What's the weight difference? I mean, Logan Paul is picking on smaller people. It seems like.
Yeah, McGregor's like, that's a good question. Let me find out.
I think 170, 180, something like that. And Logan is like 220. Is that right? Something like that.
How much does Logan Paul weigh?
Connor is a good boxer.
He is. I mean, he went. Well, they both kind of went toe to toe with Mayweather, right?
Yeah.
I mean, not really, but it was actually both fights were pretty surprising in terms of Conor came out and looked really good, and I think Logan also got a few punches in there. But if it was just MMA, I mean, Conor would just destroy him. He's 6'2", Logan Paul. 200 pounds in 2019, but so he fluctuates between like 190 and 200. How much does McGregor weigh? And McGregor can like go up and down in his weight by like 10, 20 pounds whenever he wants.
Yeah. But I don't think he's been at 200 ever. So, I mean, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be an interesting fight. These guys know how to make interesting fights.
He's significantly shorter, 5'9", and usually around like 160, 170.
Yeah.
So Logan has a big advantage there.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting.
Gonna be interesting.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna buy the PPV and watch it. So
yeah, and I'm gonna have to put who would you put money on? For me, it's obviously McGregor.
I'm not 100% sure. If I have to bet, depends on the odds too. So I would take the contrarian side on that. I don't know who would be the favorite. My guess is McGregor will be the favorite.
Yeah,
right?
I mean you're talking to someone that bet $100 that Tyson would knock out first round. Talking to the wrong person.
Did you really? Yeah.
Yeah. I was with you. Remember, I was like,
yeah. You're right.
I'm gonna put Tyson to win in the first round by knockout, and then I was like, that was
That
one
was
of the
such
worst
a
bets I've
letdown.
ever made. Yeah.
Yeah, it was such a bad
Yeah, that
fight.
was a bad call. Yeah, it was just an awful fight. I mean, who knows what the hell happened there. All right, rounding off with just the last one here because I love thinking about the Mandela effect, right? So Biden just announced that the bald eagle is officially the oh God, I forgot what the official
Mascot.
country
Mascot.
icon of the
Yeah.
US, right? And everyone's going nuts because it's like, well, I thought this was always the
Yeah.
icon of the US. But no, it's only officially been announced by Biden that it now is. So
I mean,
that's, I mean,
that's so weird, right? Because obviously I'm not a US citizen, but don't you guys have that on your passport? Isn't it
Yes.
on like the seal of the carpet in the White House where it's facing towards the olive branch and away from the
Yeah.
arrows? It's like surely it's already the symbol.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
Apparently, it was not officially the symbol, which I saw the same thing and scratched my head. I'm like, what?
mhm.
So, yeah.
I'm gonna,
Hmm.
yeah, and I wanted to, it's a weird one, but then I wanted to do a quick fun, just quick fun thing to end this on the wall. What I'm generating right now is, do you guys know some of the Mandela effects, like of the past few years? I
Yeah, I
don't know.
know. So I know Fruit of the Loom. That's my favorite one because I'm
Yeah.
damn sure it's got had the cornucopia. I'm sure it's had the cornucopia, but everyone says no.
No, no, yeah, I've seen that one. I'll ask Alex. Alex, does the Monopoly guy, does he have a monocle or not?
Yes.
He does not have a monocle.
Uh,
He does
uh,
not have a
yeah.
monocle.
Yeah. I actually have heard that, and it's insane. I heard that the first time somebody told me about it. I'm like, what? So
Yeah.
we're it yeah. So we're I mean, I am very sure. So there's got to be some confusion with something else, but I don't know what it is that has a monocle and can be confused because everybody's brain is confused with that.
The the peanut guy has a monocle.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's something to
Mm.
do with it. Mr.
I mean,
Peanut
the
or whatever
peanut.
it
I
is.
mean, how does everyone's brain simultaneously confuse the peanut guy with the monopoly guy? It's just weird.
And another weird one, which I thought about today, which I've never really thought about, but in my head, it's so, and I don't even watch like Pokemon, right? But Pikachu, the end of his tail is black.
Yeah.
It's not. It's yellow.
No way. No,
Yeah.
it's definitely he's got this black, but no, for sure,
No,
100%
no,
he's got
it's
it.
not. It's not. Like
What?
look at images. It's
That
the
I'm
yellow
actually
friggin' tail.
literally looking at it.
I don't know. No,
It's
hang on, hang
completely yellow. It's nuts.
on.
And I want to do a couple more of these and then we can finish because it's fun. It's like the movie quotes, right? Like Luke, I am your father, Star Wars, never said. Never said. It's no.
What?
He never says, Luke, I am your father. He says, no, I am your father. There's no Luke. There's no
Mm.
Luke.
That is weird
This
because
is
I
this is
literally say that, all
Yeah,
the time.
everyone
yeah.
does. That's the
Yeah.
weird thing. It's like, Luke, I am your father.
Yeah,
Same thing with like
This is Google's fault. Like, we had episode one and we were talking about Google Willow and how it uses other universes to do its calculations.
they transported us.
We're getting shunted into a universe, but all this stuff is wrong. That's what's happening.
There we go. There we go. Parallel universes. Let's do a couple more, then we can round off. So with Star Wars as well, C3PO, is he all gold or does he have one silver leg?
One silver leg.
Oh,
What? What?
I've never heard that. One silver leg?
You know the C3PO,
Yeah,
the
yeah, I know.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
all gold.
Is one of his legs silver?
Not in
No
the
No.
old
fucking way.
movies.
It's
No.
No
silver.
fucking
Like
way.
one of his legs is silver.
Dude, this one I had not heard and I do not believe you.
Look it up.
I'm
Yeah, I'm looking
actually
right
literally
now.
Googling. Oh wow, you are right.
Yeah. It's nuts. I love this stuff. Go on, we'll do one more and then we'll round off here. Well, where it came from is Nelson Mandela's death. People think that Nelson Mandela died in prison in the 80s, but he actually passed in 2013. That's where this whole thing came from. But it's so bizarre. I want to like read more into this. What's one last one to finish
That is a
on?
weird silver too. Why is one of that is
Yeah, that
so weird.
doesn't make any sense. Makes
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
sense.
Oh, we'll end on this one. So Forrest Gump's quote. Everyone thinks he said life is like a box of chocolates. He did not. It's life was like a box of chocolates. Not life is like a box of chocolates. It's life was like a box of chocolates.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
Anyway, I thought that
The
was
most
a fun one.
I
mind-blowing
don't
one.
like this. I don't like this, Terry. I don't
Yeah,
like this.
like in my weirder moments, I'm like, all right, well, it's a glitch in the Matrix. We're in a parallel universe. Because I remember the one that blew my mind today was Pikachu's tail. I was like, there's definitely no
Definitely.
way that his tail isn't completely yellow. The weirdest thing, guys, I just had deja vu saying that. I was looking at myself on the computer. I literally just had deja vu saying what I
We
just
just
said.
transported to another universe.
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
there was a
What's
glitch in the
changed?
Matrix. That is too weird. I'm talking about a glitch in the Matrix, and I just had deja vu. The Matrix talks about when you see the cat twice, deja vu. It's a glitch. Anyway, let's end there. All right, guys, that was a fun one, and same time, same place next week.
Sounds good.
Sounds
See you
good.
next week.
Cheers,
See ya.
guys. Bye.